Oh, I don't know when this thing really goes live. And I don't know if it's a little thing pops up that says live or when the little wheel starts spinning on the other side. I really probably should pay attention and maybe have a feed.
Maybe it's when the red counter starts in the top corner. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Can't tell. But since nobody's with us in these first 15 seconds, it really doesn't matter.
We can say whatever we want.
Oh,
wait, we do that anyway.
Yeah, we kind of do. Will's not with us again tonight. He had some excuse about loading 2 cars up into a trailer and too busy going to SEMA. Lucky son of a bitch. I told him to put $5 on, what did I tell him? 28?
28.
I don't know why I picked 28. There was a reason.
I don't know.
I probably should have told him 42 because of Douglas Adams, but you think he would figure out that there is no 42 on a roulette table?
Just let it all ride on black. Come on.
Nah, I want better than 2-1.
Oh, all right.
No, I seem to have pretty good odds when it comes to certain things.
Caleb just smoked you. It's actually 3 cars because he's pulling into Will's shop right now.
How come he can be here but Will can't?
Yeah, really. Thanks, Caleb. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, Caleb, thank you for being there. We are looking for a third host to refill it.
Yeah.
No.
We have a recent vacancy.
Yes.
If you go to nodrivinggloves.com, you'll find the job posting.
No, we seem to I'll be honest. Not always honest. I never lie, do I? Will works his ass off, and I honestly don't know. I know he was planning to take 4 or 5 cars, and maybe he's taking 3. So we give him a lot of leeway. You know, I really don't have a job. I'm just a bum. I do have a beer here, kind of representing being a bum.
Wow, you got a beer?
I got a beer.
I was so pumped about tonight's topic.
Oh,
I have scotch. I had to break out the scotch because I am ready.
Until I move into the new studio, no hard liquor for me, which looks like sometime in November, I'll be in the new studio. This one is actually a complete disaster right now as I begin tearing things apart. And I got computers and iPads and cables and
of course it's a disaster. You have a picture of a Mini behind you.
Of course I have a picture of a Mini behind me. And that's because I had this was a Facebook memory that popped up today. And I'm going to give some Mini love here.
Jason, who said this is what it started as? This is just where I am in the glass. I didn't pour it when we went live.
Derek poured that about 2:30 this afternoon. So now I'm going to give some Mini love because this picture popped up and I don't know if I've ever told the whole story on the podcast, and it's my podcast. So I'm going to tell the story. Tough.
Whoa. My podcast.
Yes.
No wonder why Will's not here anymore.
Well, it was this day 7 years ago that this Mini, well, actually it was yesterday, 7 years ago that this Mini came into my life, and it broke 12 years of me boycotting everything BMW and everything Mini because they had screwed me out of the Mini that my ex-wife and I had ordered. And it was supposed to be one of the first basically 20 delivered on the East Coast. And after a whole bunch of bull with the dealership, and the dealership finally admitting that they lied and they're never going to get Minis in stock and giving me back my substantial deposit, I pursued Minis elsewhere, and nobody would sell me one for less than $5,000 over sticker. And if everybody knows me, I spend money carelessly, but I'm a cheapskate. So I boycotted Mini because I felt they should help me because I had money down on this damn car for over a year, and it wasn't my fault that their authorized BMW dealer screwed me. But we all know how I have this affectionate love for Fiat, and we will go over those acronyms. Is that what that's called? In a couple of episodes, we talked about that.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. So this one came into my life because of a Fiat. And hey, guess what? It's a X's car. And I'll be honest, she still drives it 7 years later. I see it around town every now and then. And I hated this car. It was anemic. It's black. It's black in the upper canopy. It felt claustrophobic. But we all know what happened, and I ended up buying my Mini. And part of it is this car came into my life 7 years ago and kind of re-entered me into the BMW world. And then ironically, today, 7 years ago, I drove a BMW Z4. So obviously that weekend reintroduced me to the love of BMWs. And I recently, in the last day, yesterday, had an opportunity to drive a all original CRX SI. We all know I have this man love all over about CRX SIs. I like my Mini much better. And that might have replaced kind of the desirability of the CRX. Kind of tempted. I would like to, once everything settles down and such, maybe get a vintage 2002, 2003 R56. I don't know. Mini guys 53. I don't know. One of the original Minis that break all the time and are absolute maintenance nightmares. But my love of the CRX may be replaced by the Mini. Feels so much similar, or it feels very similar. Let me try English there. And I was really reflecting on all the cars I've had. And it reminds me of my Europa with a high driving position. And to be honest, I enjoy driving my Europa more than I did my Caterham 7 or / Lotus 7. But, the Europa was extremely low. I mean, you could, take out a kneecap on the upper window frame, things like that. But it just felt low and wide. Now, the Mini's tall and vertical, but it just kind of feels that wide. It feels firmly planted in that. So there's my love of Mini tonight before we maybe jump into a real topic. Obviously, I've bored everybody because Jason just, laughed 20 minutes ago and we haven't had any more comments. What have you been up to, Derek? You been giving any man love to any cars or such?
Whoa. Wow, John. I know it's after hours, but come on.
Hey, I'm only 2 sips into this beer. What do you think it's going to be like when I'm 10 ounces in?
Right? When are we going to bust out the cigars? Unfortunately, exactly, Lane. Unfortunately, I have not been able to do much with cars lately. I've been underwater at work. Obviously, I think we talked last time.
You might want to. Well, I want to clarify that because you guys seem to have natural disasters up there.
Oh, geez, shut up. I'm just slammed at work. We got a lot of big projects going on, a lot of stuff going on that's going to be pretty cool in the next year or so. But yeah, I really haven't had much time. Of course, add the 2 kiddos into that factor and everything else that's going on. Of course, I'm battling. I'm sorry, guys. There's like some kind of mosquito or something buzzing around. I don't even need to get into it, but I'm battling with, an insurance company and the body shop at the dealership that are fighting each other about how long it should take to fix a car, and them not wanting to keep me in a rental car even though my other car is not done. But anyway, we've got that resolved.
That's always fun. At least it was somebody that hit you or hit family members, because it really sucks when you pay rental car insurance or whatever it is, 18 cents a month, and then you crash your car and it's your fault and they only want to give you a rental for 3.5 weeks. And the recent accident experience with a friend of mine took her 6 weeks to get an estimate done on her car. Another buddy of mine crashed his car on a road tour 5 weeks ago. Took him that long to get an estimate, and it's not an everyday car. So now we're taking bets on whether or not he gets it back in 8 months or a year or 16 months,
Yeah. And it took us a little while we went and got the estimate written at the dealership that we want it repaired at, turned everything over. And then of course the insurance company of the person who hit us, hit my wife, they're like, well, we can't accept that. You have to take it over to our, preferred dealership in Bowling Green. Took it there. They underwrote the estimate ridiculously low. I mean, obvious things like, gee, I don't know, the special AT4 rim that's on the AT4 packaged cars probably needs to be replaced because, I don't know, it gouged it and scratched it, and it's a brand new car. I'm not going to put up with that. They didn't put it in the estimate. So, of course, the GM body shop has to submit a supplemental claim, so on and so forth. That gets lost in the computer system. It's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. But
I consulted on that one car accident a couple of weeks ago for a friend of mine. And it was funny because they contacted him and said, your car's not going to be totaled. We came in just under, the threshold. And then when I went in to look at the estimate and negotiate the estimate, they didn't include any wheel repairs, even though 3 rims were bent, cracked. And well, let's find out what these cost. And that car had $10,000 worth of wheels on it. Mm-hmm. That made a big difference on whether or not it was going to be totaled or not. But that's I think it was intentionally done. If I wouldn't have went in and talked to them about it, it would have been, okay, we're going to repair it because it's only X number of dollars. And it's whatever. I can't remember the threshold in Alabama is 80% or 90% or 60%, whatever. It was just shy of the threshold. And then they would do the supplement for the wheels. And then, of course, they were telling me, no, we can only put X wheels on this car. And the car's heavily customized. Those wheels don't have a chance of fitting it. And this is the way we bought the car. The insurance company has pictures of the car when we bought it. They agreed to this. So, those were the decisions that now you can go to Copart and potentially place a bid on that car.
Exactly.
I haven't been there in a few days. I think
so. So basically, to answer your question,
$2,500 you can potentially purchase this car for. Okay. And I'll be honest, if I had a place for it, $2,500 is a steal.
So anyway, to answer your question, as I was trying to say,
I don't even remember.
I'm actually really irritated with cars right now. So the man love for cars is waning right now, if you will.
It's kind of the Lane Kelton comment here from a few minutes ago that he loves to work on them, but hates it when he has to work on them. And that's exactly why I don't have project cars anymore, because they never want to run when I want them to run, and then I have to work on them.
Hey, I've got a lot of project cars. Anybody wants one? Well, who am I kidding? I can't sell
them. Hey, Lane, you want to hear another story about an X? This was 1994.
Lane didn't say anything about an X.
But he backed into his brother-in-law, got into my Blazer one day, got in with it ended up being my wife, put the truck in reverse, and she screamed as I backed into her truck. It was parked immediately behind me. Yeah. So we all do that. My mom also did it to my dad.
Why'd she park there?
Well, I rented a basement apartment, and the driveway was 2 cars wide, 2 cars deep, and the landlord who lived above me had the right side of the driveway, and I had the left side of the driveway. Why she got into the car with me thinking her car didn't need moved, I don't know, but I try not to blame other people for my mistakes. At least in the last 4 or 5 months, I try to do that.
I was going to say when, now or back then, or when did that start?
There, he backed into his brother. Lane was going to pay for everything, but that was the taillight Lane must have been talking about a couple of weeks ago on the show.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's ridiculous the prices that are coming up nowadays.
Jason, you were looking at CTSs. That's an ATS that I keep talking about. That could have been a good topic too, but we're not going to cover that tonight, Jason.
No, we might actually get into a topic now that it's been 15 minutes.
So, Oh, I was saying something about my mom back in the day backing into
not getting into a topic.
A freshly painted Dodge Ram plow truck that my dad had, painted bright fire engine red, brand new chrome bumper and everything. Got to the house the day before she backed out of the garage and took out the back corner of her convertible. And then I remember riding with her to the car dealership because she wanted to get it fixed that afternoon to hide it from my dad. It obviously couldn't happen, but okay.
What is it with people backing into brightly colored objects? My ex did the same thing. Of all things to back into, literally had just walked by it to get into her car, gets in her car and backs into the bright orange U-Haul truck that was parked behind her in the parking lot. You just walked by it. It's bright orange. How do you miss it? Well, I guess she didn't miss it. But anyway, baffling.
Well, it looks like there's a whole bunch of guilty people. And here we are episodes ago criticizing driver aids. Obviously, there's a reason we all have cameras on our cars anymore and backup beepers and alerts. And
I have a question. What is the best rated vehicle for 21? Are you talking about 21-year-olds for like what are we talking about? Best rated vehicle for 21?
I think Lane's
2021. The year. Sorry.
Well, is he talking about towing capacity? And we can get back into that mini topic and how well minis tow for a vehicle their size.
Well, I mean, we could look at the 0 to 60 ratings.
Yeah, we could, but
sorry, Lane, I might have had a little too much of the scotch. That probably was obvious to everyone else but me.
The ratings have to be a lie because you can't get one. Why? The press never has any trouble getting cars. The public does. 2021, you can get 2021s, especially if you want a dead base work truck for $34,000. If you want vinyl floors, roll up windows, manual door locks, 6-cylinder, AM FM radio, no fancy sync system or 9-point or 14 or 18-inch screen like the Rams have. If you want a dead base work truck, they're there. And I drove by the Nissan dealership the other day and I saw a couple 2021 Versas on there. So there are 2021s. You just have to, you kind of said it, get lucky to find them, but they are out there.
Okay, John, is it just me? Like, I went and I obviously I've been at the dealership a few times recently. But I've noticed that all of the used cars, whether they're, relatively new used cars, few years old, has anybody noticed they're not putting any prices on them?
That's because they change every 15 minutes.
None exactly. That is insanity right there. I mean, I wanted to go. There's a Ford Raptor on the lot at the GMC Buick dealership that the Acadia is being worked on at. And I was just like, I just want to see what they're asking for. It went up, nothing, no information. I'm like, man.
I'm sure the salesman would have told you, and then he would have looked at your fairly brand new pickup and your fairly brand new car in the body shop and priced it accordingly.
Mm-hmm. You would have been like, yeah, we can do an even trade, those two cars for that Ford Raptor.
Oh, I say it, and sorry, more Mini love. I still can't believe what I paid for my Mini. It's ridiculous because there was a point in time, I haven't checked it recently, that I could have sold the car to Carvana and got more than what I paid for it. Tax and everything, I could have got more than that. I would have walked away money ahead. But
I am seriously thinking about looking into it with the truck, seeing where I would be on a trade-in if I could actually, make a little bit money, break even, whatever, and step into something a little more affordable for a while. and just make the money.
And I don't want to insult too much our favorite couple that listens and comments, but somebody mentioned that they backed into a tree.
Well, I'm more interested. She said a tree and a trailer. Was the tree towing the trailer, or was the tree on the trailer, or two separate instances?
Well, I'll be honest. When I sideswiped that car with my Fusion, that's why one of the reasons I bought the Mini is because I didn't want to fix it. But Jason pointed out the reason that happens. He said it had a rear view mirror, two outside mirrors, 8-inch display monitor for the backup camera, and two vanity mirrors. That's the problem. It had vanity mirrors, probably with the little lights. And you know me, I'm always doing my hair and stuff while I'm backing down the driveway. So if it wouldn't have had the vanity mirrors, I might have been watching one of the 18 other mirrors. And to add insult to the injury, I backed my Caterham 7. Now, keep in mind, you sit in the car. The back of the car is no more than 18 inches behind you. There is no roof. I don't even know if I had the roll bar in it at the time. And I backed into my trailer and put a huge dent in the polished aluminum body. So, we all do it.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true.
Well, Eric, you said something, and I was really thinking as I created the name of this episode, we should have probably had Sean on, because Sean used to have a podcast called 0 to 60. But John didn't think that far ahead.
Yeah, well, that's what we do.
And then I thought about, and probably should have drug him on the show, because he's promised to be here. I got a sticky under one of my monitors here with his name on it. Mr. Tony Watley had a discussion today about 0 to 60 times and their relevance to the real world and cars today. And
Now wait, whoa. I'm gonna stop right there, because that's not how it actually started. It became a really good conversation, but his actual comment was debating 0 to 60 times tells real car guys that you aren't a real car guy. So it didn't start out as relevance in the real world. It started out more about a comment about real car guys.
So the fact we are debating it, we have now just declared ourselves not real car guys.
We're not debating 0 to 60 times. We're debating the comment.
No, we're debating 0 to 60 times.
I haven't mentioned anything about a 0 to 60 time.
Okay. Yeah, you did. You started it. I've got it on video.
But not about a car.
Are we talking about motorcycles?
I don't know. Mini trucks?
See, Phil.
So anyway, where do you want to go with the conversation? Because my thing is,
started it off.
My thing is, oh, hey, Phil, how's it going? My thing is not so much, okay, the relevance of 0 to 60 mile an hour times, which winds up being chatted about in the conversation. And, all respect to Tony, great point. 0 to 60 times, right? But I took issue with his comment saying that, debating 0 to 60 times tells a real car guy that you aren't a real car guy. If you even have enough interest to learn 0 to 60 times on cars, then you have some level of interest in a car and you are in that car guy realm. I'm sorry. I don't agree with the way Tony phrased it. I will say that. And my thing here is more, 0 to 60 times, they're fancy marketing tools, as Phil said, 2.6 seconds, 0 to 60, cool marketing, material. And, we can brag about having 2.6 seconds, 0 to 60 times, or, whatever Tesla's doing now or whatever. But to me, and the conversation was very interesting that occurred because of that comment. But my thing was more kind of a negative toward car guys. And I don't know. I kind of took a little like disappointment in that comment.
No, because I agree with Tony on his comment, because 0 to 60 times are easy. You pick up any magazine or video or YouTube channel or whatever, you talk about how fast something goes 0 to 60. And there's Phil pointing out the new Z06, 2.6 seconds. If you're impressed with 2.6 seconds, I'm sorry. That's not fast anymore. Koenigsegg's into the ones. So motorcycles are into the ones. Let's get, do we even have they're really not relevant. I mean, the times are so fast anymore. They're more than what the human body can, really handle. And I think it's an obsolete number, and it's used a lot in marketing, and it's used to be impressive, and it looks good on the press release, and it looks good on your YouTube channel title. But it means really nothing in the world, because the difference between, I'll even go the Koenigsegg at 1.9 seconds to 0 to 60 to the Z06 at 2.6. That's driver aids, that's driver, that's weather, blah, 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 blah. All these little factors. And that 0.7 of a second can easily change.
Okay, but see, John, you're getting into the fact that 0 to 60 times are irrelevant.
Yes,
I agree. I agree with that. But tell me why, if you're interested in 0 to 60 times, you're not a car guy. Why would that make you not a car guy? Because like you said, you can pick up any car magazine or go to any YouTube channel and learn it. Don't you have to be interested in cars to pick that magazine up or go to that YouTube channel? Don't you have to have even the slightest inclination of having an interest in cars? And if we start turning those guys away by saying, oh, because you pay attention to 0 to 60 times, you're not a real car guy, we've just lost the future of the car world.
No, it's an easy number to pick up. It's an easy number to say. It's an easy number to remember, and everybody thinks it's impressive. Maybe it's not just the 0 to 60 time. If you can back up that 0 to 60 time with an additional fact, it's great. But, and not to be offensive to Corvettes, I guarantee you can go to a Corvette meet when the new Z06 comes out and talk to 5 or 6 guys with Z06s, and all they will know is the car goes 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. They won't know a quarter mile time. They won't know a lateral G-force. They won't know details about the car. They will have bought the car for the sole fact of that 0 to 60 time. Means nothing other than, oh, it's fast. And then, how many Porsches, how many Ferraris, how many are faster than that? Honestly, I'm a little disappointed in 2.6 with the new Z06, but I guess that gives us room. What's the new ZR1 going to do? I know you can't answer or even hint but last impressed with my 2011 Kia Soul I bought.
I'm still having a struggle here, because I get that it's not a foundation for all cars, usually just sports cars. I would say Derek is a big car guy, but none of his cars probably even have a 0 to 60 time. They actually do. It's just not that impressive. But here's the thing. Why? So John, you just went over like, oh, I bet you once the Z06 is available for, purchase, you're going to go to a car show and there's going to be 5 Z06s and the guys are all going to know the 0 to 60 time. 2.6, and because it's a marketing tool and GM put it out there with a lot of other information about the car. And then you said, they're not going to know I don't remember what you listed off altogether, the lateral G forces, the everything else, right? What if that's not why they're interested in the car? What if they're interested in it for the styling aspect? The fact that it's a mid-engine car rather than a front-engine car. Why does it come down to those things to make you a car guy? That's where I'm taking issue.
Then don't tell me the 0 to 60 time. Tell me the designer. Tell me the influences. What's the history behind the design and such on the car? What's the history? Why did we go to a mid-engine? Why does the new Corvette have a lot of Italian styling characteristics in it or whatever? give me more facts than just what the press says. Yes, I am impressed that you will know the numbers. I am glad you know the numbers. I'm not going to beat you up I'm not going to beat anybody up at a car show for any reason. You're at a car show or you're enjoying your car. That's the fact. And I'm going to be honest. I've talked about it 14 times, 15 times in the 30 minutes we've been on the show. I have no clue what the 0 to 60 time on my Mini is. I know I'm much more impressed in that 70 to 100 time in my Mini as opposed to the 0 to 60 time. That's what matters. That's what prevents me from getting killed, especially in sport mode. Phil's talking about Nürburgring and track times. And yeah, the Nürburgring is becoming a kind of a standard too. But I guess I'm not even, the Nürburgring numbers drive me crazy. Maybe it's more of just my irritant that kind of what, Tony was that way. And I'll be honest, his next post was him talking about running 209.3 many years ago, a couple of years ago, 9 years ago in his Viper.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a relevant number too, I guess?
What and there's the key. What is a relevant number? Because doesn't it depend on what you're using the car for? Are you drag racing it? Are you sports car racing it? Are you oval tracking it? The number should depend on what you intend to use the car for. Right? I mean, and just because I owned a 74 Pontiac GTO and I know some of the statistics about the car, it could beat a 64 GTO on a road course because it was more capable 10 years later of the suspension and everything handling the turns better. But the 64 GTO could easily outrun the 74 GTO in a drag race. So which car is better? Which specs are more important? It comes down to what you're using the car for and what the car is. I'm sorry, but I'm still hung up on the fact that if you have even the slightest interest in any part of the story of the car, you're a car guy.
Well, that goes into the topic that you want to push for. Maybe we'll get into that one next week, is what makes a car person a car person. Yes,
I'm sorry. I use the term car guy and involves everyone. Car chicks, whatever you want to call yourselves. Car person.
I mean, I think we have a couple women listening tonight, so
I'm sure we
give
do.
them all the props.
Well, we know Dana's here.
0 to 60, I'm still trying to get my Model T to climb my hill in high gear. I actually worked with a guy on a Model T. He was a second owner. This was in the late 90s. And he would tell a story about getting pulled over for doing 57 miles an hour in his Model T. And he talked his way out of it because he pointed out it was a Model T. How the hell did it do 57 miles an hour? There were a bunch of factors. Downhill, I don't know, tailwind, he farted, I don't know what.
Yeah, exactly.
But he said what made him mad is he talked his way out of the ticket. And then years later, he realized I would have really liked to have the ticket so I could prove to people that I got clocked at it. So you got to be careful. Choose which ticket you want to talk yourself out of. Lanes in there with a stoplight to stoplight. Yeah, maybe 0 to 60 makes a difference there. And that's a lot of your, I'm not going to insult Corvettes anymore. That's a lot of your Mustang guys. And Jason, there a lot of cars don't have to shift gears till 60. You can get 62, 65. And there's a reason there, some of the high performance cars do that is to take that gears change out of the equation. And that goes back to, I used to know a gentleman that had a complete shop, very wealthy man, huge into GM products, GNXs, Corvette Z06s, ZR1s, Cadillac CTSVs, things like that. And he would commonly get one of the first of whatever was delivered. And he ended up figuring out something that a lot of times, if you get the first 500 or so, one of the first 500 or so of a car, completely different performance specs than cars 500 or 501 and above. And he owned his own dyno, and he did testing on various cars to prove it. You know, one of his CTSVs was like 117, 118. It was a low 100s number production car. Got it. Thing performed like a banshee. He ended up buying another one, and it was slow as snot, in his opinion. And he ran them both on his dyno, and the newer one with a much higher production number was something like 70 horsepower down on the other one at the wheels, which is significant when we're only talking a 400 horsepower car or so. And, you know, he wondered about it. And then at some point he took his, first CTSV in for a service and got it back, and it just didn't perform the same way. And he really had the belief that if you get one of the first 500 cars, those are programmed differently at the ECU, because those are going to, a lot of those cars will end up in press fleets, and they want the performance numbers. And then when those cars come in for their first oil change or their first recall or their first, 1,000-mile checkup, the ECU gets remapped to performance specs that will allow the warranty to be effective. And then then the cars that are built, after the first 500, they have a very little chance they're going to end up in a press fleet. Other than maybe like when Edmunds gets a car, because Edmunds physically orders their cars and buys every car they test. They don't get them out of press fleets. They go to dealerships, they buy them, which is a really neat, or is it Consumer Reports? I can't remember if it's Consumer Reports or Edmunds or both of them, but they actually buy their cars without notifying the manufacturer who they're buying them from and stuff. So they get a real car, which also leans to this gentleman's theory that cars in the press fleet are mapped differently, so that 2.6 second Z06, maybe when you get the 1800th one built, it's actually more of a 2.9 or a 3.0 0 to 60, because it's easier on the transmission, it's easier on the engine, it's easier on all the performance capacity, and helps it keep that. I don't know what GM uses for a warranty now for powertrain, 660 or something. So there's some beliefs in that, the numbers that the press is putting out are kind of not necessarily true.
Well, and I think even in the conversation that Tony sparked with this comment was a lot of discussion on who's driving the car, how is it getting off the line, all those things. I mean, 2.6 seconds. I mean, it's professional driver. It's a lot of things. Although then, as also was discussed, launch control, all the assists that are in the car now, all of it changes things. Yeah, the car might go 2.6, the 0 to 60 2.6, but is the average driver going to be able to make it do that? Hard to say.
And Lane, the reason we have 10-speed transmissions, which ironically are the same 10 speeds used in Fords and General Motors, is for gas mileage. The more gears you have and the lower you can keep the RPM, it's almost crazy why your tachometer goes above 2,200 RPM anymore. Is 10 speeds, you're never going to see that, because all the thing does is shift gears. But it still probably has a really tall first gear. Or if you had a 10 speed, and I don't know if the ZL1 Camaro comes with the automatic, it might be mapped differently to hold it in that first gear for longer, or hold it in first gear and second gear to get to 60 if you're running a 10 speed, just so it doesn't have multiple shifts. Where if you're running the car probably in econo mode or something, it's going to shift 5 or 6 times before you get to 60, just to keep the RPMs at 12. And I mean 12 RPM, not 1200 RPM.
Sorry, I was just thinking of something. I completely blanked.
I saw the smoke and then the fire kind of smoldered.
Yeah, right. Dang.
Well, Elaine was
Talking about
complimenting you.
transmissions.
10 speeds, shifting.
Yep, nope, it's gone. Sorry, guys.
So, I mean, Tony ended up.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
160
so the rental car that I have is a Chevy Trax, and yeah, the 0 to 60 is impressive. Mm-hmm. But it's a rental car, so I can have all kinds of fun. Nothing more needs to be said.
I'm going to be anti-car guy here, and I'm so damn tempted to type Chevrolet Trax into this Google search because I can't remember what the hell it even looks like.
I don't even know what to call it. It's like a micro SUV. I don't know.
It's like a bloated Aveo or something.
Yes, there you go. That sounds pretty good right there. Yeah.
Is that like the Ford EcoSport that they're no longer going to make, which is like a bloated Ford Focus or something?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
that's what it was. We're going to stop building cars. We're just going to blow up our cars.
Yeah,
I mean, inflate our cars.
Poorly laid out. I don't like the controls in it. And just.
Do we put weight behind Jason's comment? 0 to 60 is a marketing tool that gets you to think your old car is obsolete and get you to buy a newer, faster model. I don't know if I'm going to say for the everyday person, no, but I'm going to say I have some wealthy friends that will get rid of their Ferrari or Lamborghini because another one is a 1/10 of a second faster in the quarter mile, or they'll forego the all-wheel drive version of X car to get the 2-wheel drive car because it's a little bit faster. Or sell their all-wheel drive version to get that. But I don't think the average person who makes car payments is necessarily looking at that as I think you've got to have a little bit more than saying the 0 to 60 improved, a 1/10 of a second or 2/10 of a second.
Well, but you only hear 0 to 60 times on cars that most people... Our cars, they're not going and financing and monthly paymenting on and stuff like that. I mean, it's, Corvette might be an anomaly in that situation, but I guess Mustang does it too. Those kind of cars.
Mustang does it. Hyundai does it with a Veloster, more the Veloster and the top model, but the top model's designed to sell the lower models. Mini does it with their minis. Dodge does it like crazy with their entire product line. It's fast. Let's put a Hellcat in it. It's even faster. It does 0 to 60 in 48 seconds, even though it's got 700 horsepower. This is an SUV that weighs 14 tons. But no, I don't. And I think there's a lot of cars that rely on that 0 to 60. Or I guess we could even, go beyond that. If you're looking marketing, horsepower, 707 horsepower, big deal. When it comes to a Hellcat or something.
So is it, but then twist it. Is it a marketing tool to get, as Jason says, to get you to think your old car is obsolete? Or is it merely a marketing tool to show the improvement and progression of the technology that the car company is putting in their cars? In other words, hey, we're building this car better than the last one. Not necessarily saying that, your old car's obsolete and you should do this, but rather just we're moving forward. Because there's been times in the past where we've certainly moved backwards. Thank you, OPEC, oil crisis, 1970s, all that good stuff.
But I guess since Jason's brought it to a marketing aspect, that to me adds some validity to Mr. Watley's statement that you're not a real car guy. because if you are actually buying your car just on a 0 to 60 time or something, are you looking at the entire picture of the car? Again, I guess we can throw it to some of my, and I don't think any of them listen because I don't want to insult them, but some of my mega wealthy friends that do buy cars based on they're a tenth of a second faster, or it's all-wheel drive or two-wheel drive, or whether it makes pudding pops in the back seat or whatever. It is a marketing tool, and it's brought there, and it's most of these guys aren't race car drivers. Most of them will never be able to match the 0 to 60 time that any of the press guys do. The 0 to 60 time, I don't know how many know it. Most car magazine 0 to 60 times are not from a dead stop. They're from a rolling start. So the car is already moving, which again speeds up the time. It's all a perfect world scenario. And Tesla proved it with the Plaid, in that they can take a Model S Plaid, and drop it anywhere in the country at any altitude, at any temperature, and that car's going to run, 9.2s, 9.8 quarters all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can't do that with a Hellcat Challenger. You can't do that with a Ferrari Pista. You can't do that with a Mercedes GT. You can't do that with a 911 Turbo, because atmosphere, altitude, oxygen
levels,
wind affects the electric cars a little bit, but none of that affects electric car. It runs it every day, solid as snot, boom, 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 boom. Where, I can't remember if Dodge even said it after Tesla with the Plaid ran their time, is that for them to get the Demon under 10 seconds, they went to Texas at an ideal time of year with ideal temperatures and waited multiple days for this perfect scenario to run the car and guarantee that speed. Tesla, they showed up, I don't know, got out of the car, maybe got their Skittles and, their Diet Coke out of the cup holder, popped some talk show host in the driver's seat and said, go for it. And he did. And he did it. Not a professional driver, nothing. And he's a little more advanced than most drivers, but, wasn't a race car driver or anything, just some gray-haired dude that wears denim and tells jokes. So I don't know if it's really. I guess I read Tony's thing as, is that a relative? I didn't take it as an insult to car guys or car enthusiasts. You might have a point there that anybody, Derek, that anybody that gets excited about a car needs to be fed more of that juice or more of that candy and make, what, I can't think of what the expression is, but drink more of the same Kool-Aid.
Drink more of the Kool-Aid.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You're into the 0 to 60. Hey, do you know that this thing can actually corner at, 0.91 Gs or 92 Gs or whatever. And it's funny as how
many Kenny G's can it do?
And you just made me think of a totally off topic thing when it came to.
You're welcome.
Performers that you never expected in certain bands. It goes back to a conversation I had Saturday afternoon. And then ironically, I think I had the conversation on Sunday, but with somebody else, and he's going, no, that person's not in that band. And okay, I'm pretty sure. Googled it, I'm not 100%. So, texted said person that I had the conversation with, and they couldn't believe I actually paid that close of attention in a conversation. And then by the time I got the answer, the other person going, you're right, that person's doing that.
I told you Leonard Skinner was the front man of Leonard Skinner. Oh, wait. And by the way, who is Pink Floyd? I've never been able to figure him out.
I don't like Pink Floyd.
What sacrilege? Get off the show.
Well,
Talk about great car collection, Nick Mason. And what a great guy. Down to earth, awesome guy. Great
drives a $60 million, $70 million Ferrari GTO to the grocery store.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? I want to go back to one of Jason's comments, because I think it would be hilarious. He's talking about trucks are always showing a Ford or a Dodge or a Chevy not being able to pull the boat. All the big three are always dumping on the other manufacturers. I think they need to do it where it's like infomercial style, where, you like see the first, like kind of black and white grainy video. Do you have problems pulling your boat? And like the Ford is like lugging and the hitch comes undone, and it's, all the stupid little stuff that would never happen. And then, well, buy this Chevy, and then everything's perfect in the world. I think that's the way they should do them.
I'm sorry. All of a sudden, I'm thinking of Billy Mays Hayes, which, if anybody doesn't know, I started growing my beard the day after Billy Mays passed away, because I believe there's a certain number of people on the planet that should have beards, and I replaced Billy Mays. OxyClean.
You know what I prefer? ShamWow.
We don't want to get into that, and we may as well talk about certain comedians. Philip's actually been ridden in a plaid. We really should talk to Phil more often. He actually was on an episode last year talking about rotaries, and I believe he's even completed the V8 project that he had. He'd be a good guy. Phil, we need to talk. Get you back on the show. Find out what you've learned about piston engines. And
I'd love to talk to. I haven't finished it yet. I was glancing through an article about how rotary engines might be the right engine for hydrogen power, and that could be interesting to talk with Phil about. Oh man, Lane, I grew up near Saginaw, Michigan. I grew up in GM country, and that was always the discussion we had. If you could take, and of course back then, I probably shouldn't say what year it was, because I'll date myself. But back then the joke was always, especially with my dad, who was a GM guy, you'd take, at the time, let's just say, I think Lane was actually in this conversation on one of the previous episodes. Back in the early mid 90s, let's say Chevrolet engines in their trucks weren't necessarily the best. I think we talked about the piston slap, the knocking that they would have. But it was always take a GM or a Chevy body, because the metal tended to be a little better in the Chevy GM trucks than the Ford trucks, and take the Ford chassis and engine and driveline and made them together, and you'd have like the perfect truck, because you'd have a solid drivetrain and a great body that didn't rust as quickly, and you'd have the perfect truck.
Now, I think Jason misspelled the perfect truck. He spelled it GMC. I believe it's Rivian. Rivian. Rivan. I think that's the perfect truck.
Really? Because I thought it was Garford. Garford.
That's
they
Garfield.
Were fantastic. No, Garford. They were fantastic trucks. Beasts. They could do anything.
You mean REOs?
Hey, they believe it's time for them to fly.
Yeah. Something about touching the sky in their Speedwagons, right?
Mm-hmm.
The original Dodge Little Red Express, the REO Speedwagon. It's like Peterbilt. I don't know anything about those trucks. They look cool.
They're semis.
I believe. I couldn't even tell you what the snowman drove in Smokey and the Bandit. Did he drive a Kenworth?
Great question.
I know in Convoy. I know in Convoy they talk about a Kenworth hauling hogs, but I don't know what Pigpen was driving in Kent then. And I thought Chris Christopherson was driving a Peterbilt. I don't know. Now we're getting talking about movie cars again, and we know
movie semis. All right,
we got a little Convoy. Now all of a sudden I'm ready to sing.
Oh yeah, we got.
I told you, I'm 10 ounces in. We're in trouble now. Oh,
so summing up what we've been talking about, 0 to 60 times are irrelevant, but discussing them does not make you less of or not a car guy. One man's opinion.
I'll go with your statement.
Rubber Duck drove a Mack.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Pigpen, here's a rubber duck. I'm about to put the hammer down. We got a little convoy rocking through the night. Did you just see that viewer number drop?
I haven't had enough scotch for this.
I don't know if they've made enough scotch for that.
Probably not.
All of Scotland, you're in trouble. Snowman was a Kenworth.
Of course, Toby would know. Toby's a truck guy.
Well, we got our questions answered. It's great to have. I really don't like the fact Peterbilt and Kenworth are very similar. And is Peterbilt really two words? Because I think that's twice you've written it with a space in it. No, I guess only once. Pat Carr.
Although Peterbilt is not spelt that way. Peterbilt is Peterbilt, if I remember correct. I don't think they use the U. I think it's Peterbilt. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but I swear they do not use the U.
Yep, Toby's got it right. Cab over pew with a reefer on and a Kenworth hauling logs.
I've always loved the fact that they're called reefers.
We're heading for Bear on I-10, about a mile out of Shaggy Town. And that's when he says, Pigpen, this here's a rubber duck. I'm about to put the hammer down.
Oh, Lord. Wait,
I used to have a game that was called 10-4 Good Buddy. And you had these little trucks and you tried to, you went around the board game and it was all CB handles and stuff. And hell, since we're talking about every one of my damn exes, we've got the ex-wife in there. We've got Amanda in there. We've got Z in there. Let's just go ahead and throw in Diana. Cause when I was dating her, I bought a copy of 10-4 Good Buddy, the board game off of eBay.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember what semi it was in 6 Days on the Road.
Shit, I don't even know that movie.
No, it's a song. Country song. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight.
No, still don't know it.
Toby, help me out here. Come on, I'm looking up the lyrics.
No, he's sitting here. He's reading the lyrics Convoy because he's getting all those.
I got my 10 forward gears and my Georgie overdrive, right? Yep. Just past the Jimmy in a white. Yeah. God, I swear they mentioned the song mentioned what he was driving, but.
Well, hurry up. You've got 45 seconds. I'm going to cut this off at 60 to save these poor listeners.
Maybe it doesn't say what he was driving. He just talks about passing the Jimmy in the white.
Well, do we quickly look it up on YouTube and see what he's driving in the video? Because we know what the director picked out is exactly what the songwriter was picturing. It's probably a Mini.
I don't know. It's just a diesel wound up and she's running like it never before.
Now all of a sudden I'm thinking Hot Rod Lincoln. Son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that Hot Rod Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
anyway.
Let's go on a tirade. Brad Fanshaw, if you happen to be watching, I bought this damn Bond Speed watch and I cannot figure out how to shrink the band. Please get in touch with me. I know you're busy, but
you know what? If you complain about car or if you complain about watches on a car podcast, you're probably not a real car guy.
Brad Fanshaw used to be president of Boyd Connington. Brad Fanshaw builds wheels. Bond Speed watches are part of Bond Speed Media, which is his whole car gambit thing. He's a pretty big car guy. He should be watching. I converse with him quite often, other than he won't get back to me on how to shrink the damn size of this because I have petite little wrists. And I really want to wear my Bond Speed as opposed to my Seiko.
Work out. Beef up the wrists.
No comment.
You've been skipping wrist day.
I believe it or not, I have not been skipping wrist day. And with that, I think we should probably end the show.
I think so.
What's the deal with the car in the background? What is it? What's it 0 to 60?
Lane got here late.
Yeah, that is a automatic Mini Cooper of 2013. It's 0 to 60 is something like 4.5 days. It is a very anemic, slow car. But that is the car that, as if you go back to the beginning of the podcast, got me considering minis again. It is actually a Ray edition. It's one of 500, which is heavily involved in the rainbow connection. Ooh, now I'm thinking the Muppets.
Excellent. I love the Muppets. They're fantastic.
Which then gets me to another TV show that I've been watching, and as dumb as it sounds, that they seem to, there's an upcoming episode I'm excited to see because they have an XKE in it or an E-Type and at a classic car dealership and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something good, like you were watching The Crown or something like that, where they have their old cars in it. But
no, I actually started watching that the other night for a reason. And unfortunately, I'm watching using a Roku SE stick as opposed to my Google Chromecast. And it doesn't play the next episode. It plays an episode and then it picks something out of the wild. So I woke up this morning watching The Bachelor. So
what is the old saying when is it, which way is it, when art imitates real life or when real life imitates art? Which way is that saying? John wakes up watching The Bachelor.
I think Jason probably said it there at 10:02 p.m. and we're at what now? I can't read the clocks on this damn computer.
It's 10:04.
Yeah, we probably should hang it up. It'd been great talking to everybody tonight. No Driving Gloves, nodrivinggloves.com. You can find links to all the episodes, links to our social media. Please buy us a coffee if you found the show entertaining. We bring it to you, and we threatened you with some manscaping and some Casper mattresses and stuff. If you don't start buying us coffee, we're going to start figuring out some stuff. And believe it or not, you really don't want John talking to you about manscaping. We will talk to you later. I'm out of here.
See ya.